This is Surfing Through Cinema. I'm your host, Hawaii Harry. Now, today normally would have been studio week, but I kind of decided I don't want to do that kind of a thing anymore. So now I'm going to be doing what's called Streaming Through Cinema. And this is going to be a movie that I saw that's popular on any of the streaming services this week. So I went on to Netflix and I found that one of the most popular movies today is Space Jam. So this episode is going to be all about Space Jam. I also promised last week to bring in bonus material, and I was unable to do so. I had a lot of work and homework to do, so I didn't have the time that I thought I would have to make the episode. So I'm going to attach the bonus material at the end of this episode. So without further ado, we're going to discuss about Space Jam. Okay, so before we get into Space Jam, I kind of want to talk about how I record and make each episode. So I have a list of all the movies and themes I want to do over the course of the year and plot it out each week so I know exactly what it is I'll be doing for the week. And then I typically on Monday or Tuesday, after the episode premieres, I watch the next week's movie. And then by Friday, I have written out the outline of what it is I want to go over. So I have a list of like bullet points and whatnot I want to go over. And then Saturday, I typically record the episode. And then I have it all edited and ready by Sunday so that Monday morning it premieres without any delays, without any issues. And I'd like to keep up with that. Sometimes it's really hard. It's really difficult. So that's why this episode's coming out today instead of yesterday. I had to record it on a different day. So that's kind of a backstory and idea of how I make Surfing Through Cinema. And I came up with it because, well, originally I wanted to do a YouTube channel, kind of the same idea as like Cinemassacre and Nostalgia Critic, where they review films and discuss them. But I decided, I have a full-time job and I'm a full-time student. It'd be hard to do the production value that they do on YouTube. And considering how I don't have a lot of resources or a lot of funding for this, that it'd be better I check some other outlets. But I still wanted to do something. And I decided I think a podcast would be a good way to go. It's something I can manage and do on a weekly basis. And I've come to really enjoy it. I really like talking in microphones and the headsets. It's pretty fun. I really like doing it. And the original intent wasn't for any monetary value or anything like that. I decided to do it because I really enjoy cinema and I really enjoy sharing my thoughts and opinions about it, just to have them out there, just to be a different mouthpiece, There's so many out there. I just wanted to offer my 10 cents. So, a little background about me. I've always loved movies. I've grown up watching them and discussing about them as long as I can remember, honestly. I've taken classes in film in college and I still really like it, and I think I'll always like it. So yeah, that's kind of a background of me and Surfing Through Cinema. And here's the thing. So how did I come up with the name for it? Well, I initially came up with the name Hawaii Harry because I like alliteration. I think that's kind of cool. And then I wanted to come up with something to go along with it. And coming up with ideas back and forth. I couldn't think of anything. So I was talking about it with my wife, and she came up with the idea for the surfing through cinema part, because I like to go over movies and I like to research on them. So that's kind of like surfing through the web, but also because Hawaii Harry, that kind of does with the ocean as well. So she's really the one who came up with a name for it, and I just stuck to it. I really like it. Surfing through cinema with Hawaii Harry. So, a little backstory. And normally I have a script for these, but I decided for this week that I'm not going to have one. I'm just going to talk what I thought about Space Jam and my opinions on it. So, Space Jam, as many of you know, is a sports movie with Looney Tunes characters, and it's about, Michael Jordan and how he's retired from basketball and now he's trying to be in baseball, but he's not so good at it, and so he feels down about it. So Space Jam, it's about how Michael Jordan goes from playing basketball, then retiring, then playing baseball, then playing basketball again with the Looney Tunes. And it's funny. I enjoyed it. Last time I watched it, I was pretty little, so I didn't remember a whole lot from it. But I really like the animation in it. Really like Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. They were all voiced by Billy West, who some of you may know from the Ren and Stimpy show or from Futurama. He does Fry and Professor Farnsworth. So I think he does a pretty good job. Mel Blanc, he used to be the voice actor for pretty much every Looney Tune ever, and he had passed away at this point, so they had to get somebody else to do it. But I think it was good. Definitely a product of the 90s. There's a lot of hip-hop and R&B and soul type of music, so it felt pretty dated, not gonna lie. And honestly, I didn't know a whole lot of the basketball players. I mean, I'm not a sports person, so I didn't know any of them really. I just knew Michael Jordan because, well, he's on the cover and because of the Air Jordans. That's about it. That makes me sound very young. So yeah, a couple of things I didn't like. The movie was very, very short, but that was probably due to production costs. I mean, I can't imagine this was a cheap movie. Watching the credits at the end, there were tons and tons of people, so it must have been a very daunting and hard task. But then it made me think, well, there's films like Roger Rabbit, who probably had a bigger budget, but nonetheless, they had some pretty impressive effects in that movie too, and it was longer and better in my opinion. But nonetheless, people like this movie for nostalgia factor. I didn't grow up in the 90s, I was born in the 90s. So I don't really have a nostalgia for it. And I guess the one that I would have one for would be the Looney Tunes Back in Action movie, but even that, I didn't like that one at all. But I've always loved the Looney Tunes. Cartoon Network, I want to say it was on Fridays or Saturdays, for 2 hours would have a block of Looney Tunes shorts, so I would try and watch it as often as I could, and I've really loved Looney Tunes my whole life. I really love the Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, especially Daffy. I think he's my favorite. But I really like the zany and crazy adventures they get themselves into. So, comparing those shorts and those timeless classics to this film, I think they hold up better. I think the cartoons feel more timeless. This one definitely feels a product of the time. But it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, it feels pretty dated. I did like the cameos in it. That was pretty cool. Seeing Bill Murray, seeing Wayne Knight from Seinfeld, seeing Patricia Heaton, and some famous voice actors, like the voice of Homer Simpson. It was pretty cool. Let's see, what else? It's kind of hard without a script. I don't know. I hear they're doing a sequel to it with LeBron James. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but who knows. Oh, something interesting that happened. So, as we all know, we're experiencing the coronavirus and how devastating and scary it's been. Interestingly enough, some of the characters in this movie, some of the basketball players, I should say, they had their abilities stolen from the aliens, and they were shutting down the NBA, and they're all wearing hazmats and masks. I was like, that's a little too real. Pretty relatable. And maybe that's why it's popular now. I don't know, but I thought that was interesting how I just so happened to watch that while this was going on. So that was interesting. So yeah, Space Jam. Oh, let's see, the music. I like the music. I mean, again, it's pretty dated, but I think it still fits it. I believe I can fly and whatnot. I think it was good. Anything else? Well, that was about it. This is kind of new, so I think over time I'll get better at doing this without a script. Just these episodes. The other ones I still want to keep structured, but I kind of wanted to do like some fun, up with the times type of episode. I don't know. This would be kind of fun. So we'll see where this goes. Maybe next time I'll see something on Hulu or Amazon Prime, iTunes even. I don't know. So I kind of like this idea. Kind of frees it up a little bit. I'm not too limited. Space Jam. All right, well, that's everything I kind of wanted to discuss with Space Jam. And so now I'll get into our break real quick. And but first, here's a message from our sponsor. So now I'm gonna add on the bonus material, and oh boy, let me just say it's a little crazy. It's all over the place, so bear with me and my brother. Kind of went on a random tangent. I also decided with these type of episodes, with the streaming through cinema, I'm not going to edit it very much. I'm just going to, whatever I said or whatever happened is what I'm going to put in. I mean, obviously I'll put in the ads and like the songs, but other than that, I'm just going to leave it how it is. Not because of laziness or anything, but I kind of want it to be as authentic as possible, not feel so, rigid and scripted. So, without further ado, here's some bonus material, and I hope you guys like it.
I started watching Mindhunter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recommend binge watching it because Mindhunter makes you think about your place in life, in the world, okay? Because it's intense as crap. So, I'll give you the brief rundown. Just while you're working, you don't actually have to listen.
Okay.
I think about it a lot. because I've always had an interest in like I enjoy reading people and that, like talking to people, kind of getting a feel for them, and the crowning glory of that is behavioral analysis, which there used to be a unit in the FBI called the BAU.
Mm-hmm.
Behavioral analysis unit, if you're wondering.
Not really.
And no, I know. So Mindhunter is like they took the real world experiences of kind of three key figures in the creation of behavioral analysis in the 70s,
mm-hmm.
and they created a drama. So they used their real experiences. They used actual recording and transcripts from actual interviews with serial killers that these three people had.
Oh, jeez.
But then they changed it so they're like their own names, their own characters. I kind of feel like they mixed multiple people into some. And some people are totally different. For example, the woman that the main female character is based off of, I'm pretty sure I saw an interview with her talking at Brown University, because they're important, not Gray University.
Red University.
$7.65.
University?
But Frank Harrison, you're getting me off track, man.
Can I just say something really quick?
Yeah.
I want to change this critic review section to just popular opinion.
That's better. I like that, because I don't care about critics. I am the critic. I'm the couch critic, man.
You're the freaking couch critic.
So, let me get into my thing real quick, which obviously this ain't gonna be in. I don't know why you've moved this. This is supposed to face.
That I know. That's why I was like.
Anyway, let me finish.
Okay.
So the main female character is based off of this woman. I can't remember her name, but she was a nurse, I believe, in an ER that she worked like night shifts in the ER and just started having a lot of experience with these women coming in after being raped, because she was working those night shifts, right?
Oh, geez.
And so much so that she started to document their stories, or like talk with them and interview them. I'm pretty sure. I think that's what she was saying. But in the TV, and then she joined the unit because she started writing papers about it. She like wrote some academic papers about it. In the TV show, she's an actual doctor though, who had been researching like white collar crimes.
Oh.
Which white collar crimes are like.
I know a white collar.
Oh,
yes.
You do? Okay.
Businessmen.
Who
make.
So she was like in the show she was analyzing businessmen who had those sociopathic tendencies, because they are sociopaths. Like, not gonna lie, some of the biggest and richest, kind of what she had discovered then in the 70s was like have very similar. I guess again that's the character, but
chronological wavelengths.
They have very similar characteristics to serial killers. Because it takes someone who doesn't feel emotion.
Makes
not
sense.
Really. But the reason I brought it up, or the reason why I like the show so much, but why I think you shouldn't binge watch it, is when they start looking in and trying to analyze these serial killers' minds, what they started to realize mainly was they have experiences that are super similar to the rest of the world. Like, there are plenty of people who grow up in horrible households with abuse and like awful parents and just really awful experiences in their life, and they act a certain way because of that. Everybody acts differently because of their experience, but something that was kind of universal with these serial killers who had lived those experiences was they reacted not naturally, or even like smaller things like being looked at funny or someone saying a rude comment to you in public, like, whereas someone whose brain is functioning, I guess, normally, I don't know how you would phrase that, but like you experience that, and
like the average mind,
the way you compartmentalize or break down whatever that experience was that's normal to you, like, doesn't involve murdering people. Not really, but like the way you experience that stands apart from the way these killers experience that, because they would go on a bender and go rape and murder some people. Like it's just weird to see that. So when you're watching it, the reason I say that was a long way to say. The reason I say don't binge watch it It's because when you watch an episode, one, it's really intense to begin with, because it shows you kind of like the depravity of the world. Like you never realize how awful these circumstances really. Like you can read an article about a serial killer, but when you start to actually hear them put it into words, like that's a lot to think about. And so like I'd watch an episode and pause it because Netflix has autoplay, which I also just learned. Netflix's autoplay, you can now turn that off. But not autoplay, rip. That's what I wanted. No, what you can turn off is...
I was like, isn't that a YouTube thing?
when you're like hovering over a show, it would automatically start playing the music of that show, and then if you click over, that you can turn off. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
And that's
Preview.
super freaking annoying. So I'm glad they turned that off. Or you can.
Can you get to the point?
Yeah. The point was, I'd have to pause the episode and just sit back and think, and be like just think about that person's experiences and think about the people who actually analyzed them and were actually in those rooms with them, trying to learn about them, trying to write about them, and create like a system to profile these people. Like when you start seeing all that goes into it, you can't binge watch it. You need to sit back and just kind of like ingest it a little bit. And if you don't, then you're probably a sociopath who murders people, because like I don't know how you could possibly binge watch that show. Well, the first few episodes are really impactful, but it does become more serialized. It does start to follow a more like TV like arc of a structure. So I guess that in that extent, like yeah, it's easier to watch as it goes on, but it does every once in a while. It'll be like some big questions and some like scenarios that you kind of just have to sit back and think through yourself and be like, either like what would I do in that situation, or like how would I perceive this individual based on what they're telling me. And it's also just so weird to sit back and be like, can you imagine being in this person's position or experiencing the world through the lens that they experience it through, like with this weird mental problem?
Yeah.
Because obviously something isn't firing correctly, but less obviously because a lot of these people were able to fly under the radar for all their life. So it's really weird to kind of sit back and just be like, what if I perceive the world in their shoes? Obviously, I'm not saying like, hey, we should try and put yourself in the mind of a killer. I don't mean that. I mean like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. But I would say I think it would be such an interesting experience to listen to the actual interviews.
Yeah.
That would be so, or like to sit in one of those interviews, that would blow me away.
I've seen like Ted Bundy ones.
Right. And that's why I like that Netflix has those like those miniseries that I haven't actually seen yet, but.
Well, I mean like actual interviews on YouTube. They have the real Ted Bundy ones.
Right.
They're terrifying.
But. Well, I think there is a difference in why you would watch it. Because one, the spectacle of it is so scary and terrifying to see that. Mm-hmm. But also from like an analytical standpoint, I think for me that's what makes it just so interesting. Not necessarily like, wow, I can't believe these are all the things that I can't even imagine how someone could even do these things. Like, no, but like wanting to sit there and like break down all these little things in that person's life, and also the fact that they were able to use those experiences, like the people creating the profiling system, they were able to create that system. I thought that was super cool too. And I would love to be like one of those scientists who were like designing it and trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's
such an interesting problem to me, and now I see why psychology is a really, really popular degree.
Yes.
Anyway, so that was my tangent. You should watch Mindhunter with your wife, or don't.
Okay. Are you done with your tangent?
Yeah, I'm warmed up. Are you warmed up to listening to me?
I think so.
Let's get started.
Okay. Well, before we get into it, is there something you want to add to the intro? That way you actually say something.
I have something, but I don't want to add it to the intro, so do your intro.
Okay. Okay. This is Surfing Through Cinema. I'm your host, Hawaii Harry. Today with my brother Hunter, the couch critic. Do you want me to say that? I forgot to ask. That was the thing I was going to ask. Do you want me to call you that? Or just like throw it in there?
Yeah, throw it in there, and then we'll do some explaining before we get into it.
Okay. Like now?
Here's the explaining. I don't actually care. I sit on the couch and I criticize. So I have no cinema background to back up any of what I say or see.
So maybe we should say that after the intro, before we get into the topic.
That's what I just said. And then you said, do you want to do it now?
I wasn't listening.
I know.
Technically I was.
You were.
This has been Surfing Through Cinema. Thank you for listening this week. And next time I'll be doing Action Week, and I'll be discussing about the Hidden Fortress. This is the inspiration for Star Wars, and by the legendary Japanese director Akira Kurosawa. Until next time, I'm Hawaii Harry, and take care. Thank you for listening to Surfing Through Cinema. Make sure to check us out on Facebook at Surfing Through Cinema with Hawaii Harry and on Instagram with Surfing Through Cinema. We also have a website, www.anchor.fm/Surfing Through Cinema, where you can learn more details on upcoming episodes and on past episodes.